start with either knees bent or legs straight so that they're the same to start. You don't have to change anything about it, just notice what's moving with your breath. You can even notice any thoughts or feelings that are coming up. Gently, very gently, move your head just a smidge to one side. Roll your head to one side, then the other. This is just like maybe an inch. Just something, just to feel the experience. What else, if anything, do you feel change as you roll your head? Maybe the contact of the back of your head with the floor. And notice that when you go in a tiny, tiny range, how easy is that? And then go a little bit more, but only to where you stay in that easy range, even before you feel resistance. Maybe you just feel a change in quality. Now bend your right knee and straighten your left leg. Imagine there's a piece of paper under your right foot, and just press on the piece of paper gently. Just increase the pressure between your foot and the floor a quarter of a pound. And now press a little bit more, but always only what's comfortable. There's always a way to modify. You can also do anything in your mind, if it's even the slightest bit uncomfortable. Good. Now, what's happening in the area of your knee when you press gently into the floor? It might not be moving in space, but is there any kind of activation? Or can you imagine if you were to press more, what might happen? Good. Now, we're going to lift the right side of your pelvis as you push gently with your right foot into the floor. So it's like your whole pelvis is tipping to the left just a little bit. The weight behind the right side of your pelvis is lightening, and then you bring it back down. And do that a number of times. Notice that the weight is increasing under the left side of your pelvis. And what's happening in your left leg? You don't have to do anything. If there's nothing happening, that's okay. These are just questions to guide your attention to different places. What's happening in your low back? There's probably a twisting there. Your belly button is looking more towards the left. And as you do this, keep your knee towards the ceiling now. See what that is. Maybe you were already doing that, but you're pressing into your foot. Your knee stays towards the ceiling, but your hips are turning towards the left. And take a rest. Either both knees bend or both knees straight, whatever is most comfortable. And you can rest at any time in a Feldenkrais lesson. Notice if you feel any differences either between the two sides. Does anything in your right side feel different from your left side? In your hips, in your back, maybe in your feet. And again, bend your right leg, extend your left, and return to the same movement, pressing into your right foot, rolling your pelvis to the left, and letting it come back to the floor. And as you do that, keep your eyes fixed to the ceiling. Your eyes and your head. And now, keep your head fixed to the ceiling, but let your eyes move to the left, in the same direction your pelvis is rolling. Kind of like a tongue twister for our brains. And now, reverse that. Keep your eyes towards the ceiling and let your head roll to the left just slightly while your pelvis rolls to the left. Good. And now everything together, eyes, head, pelvis to the left while your knee stays towards the ceiling. And now you can do it in whichever way was most comfortable. Just focus on your pelvis, let your head and eyes do whatever they want. As you roll your pelvis to the left, the only thing that stays necessarily straight is your right knee. Great. And then the last variation we'll do here is lift your pelvis slowly and then let it come back a little more quickly. It's almost like a little plop, but only what's comfortable. You can literally do a millimeter of movement. Slow lift and then release it. Really release it fully. Take a moment to make sure you really let that weight come back into the floor. And then return to the original. Just pushing into your foot, letting it back down. Notice if that feels any different from having done it fast. And extend both legs. Rest. Notice your breath. Notice what's moving. Notice if anything moves in your lower abdomen as you breathe. Now bend your right knee, keep your left extended. Tip your knee gently from one side to the next. Right and left, very easily. Just see how much it moves in that easy range, what it feels like to move it. And then switch your legs. Bend your left leg, extend your right. Now this is the position we haven't been using. Tip that knee right and left, very gently. See what it feels like to move that one. Good. Good. And then on this side, we'll do a mini exploration just to not be completely unbalanced in the exercise. Although that is an option too, because in gentle movements like this, our nervous system can take what we learned on one side and translate it to the other. And so in order to get the same amount of change in the second side, we don't necessarily have to do as much time or as many variations. So now press gently into your left foot, flat on the floor, and let that roll your pelvis to the right. Notice, is your breathing at all timed with this, or does it have its own timing? Either one is fine. Is it at the same rhythm? And if it is at the same rhythm, do you tend to inhale as you push and roll your pelvis, or inhale as you come back to the mat? Good. Now keep your pelvis on the floor and just lift your foot while your heel stays on the floor, very, very gently. Just to feel what changes in your knee and your hip joint. And then lift your heel while the ball of your foot stays on the floor. And feel, is there activity in that left hip as you do that? Good. Now, foot flat on the floor, press into the floor, roll your hips to the right and back down, just in a very gentle range. The smaller you go, often the more things you can feel in your whole body. Good. Now bend both legs. And choose one knee, just a couple inches, perhaps one way, very small, right and left. And then the other. Notice any differences. Good. And with knees either bent or extended, roll your head in a very easy range. And then go as far as you can go super comfortably. No resistance, no stretching, but just see what does it feel like now to roll your head from side to side. And when you're ready, you can very slowly come to sitting, then standing. And just walk around a little bit, take a moment to be in your own experience and feel what it's like to walk.